Nicki makes a lot of cash. Not as much as Michael Dell, not quite. Not as much, but that's okay. But Nicki makes
Is this entire situation going all the way over Nicki Minaj's brain and her spidey senses as the whole room just laughed at her and she thinks they're laughing with?
Hello guys, I'm with my favorite president, the best president of all time.
Trump, he gets to hang out with young and have 50 different wives.
Everybody is dragging her from every direction right now, and the latest voice jumping into the fire is Samuel L. Jackson. And let's be real, he is not the type to whisper his opinions. When Samuel speaks, he speaks loud, and this time he's making it crystal clear that Nicki has no clue what kind of game she just walked into. According to Samuel, Nicki is moving reckless and blind, not realizing that Donald Trump and the MAGA crowd are smiling in her face while plotting behind the scenes. In his view, this isn't partnership, it's exploitation. They're laughing at her, not rocking with her. And the wild part is, she doesn't even see it happening in real time. Being famous is one thing, but being paraded around like a trophy while people use your name and fan base for clout and politics is a whole different level of embarrassing. Samuel's message is basically a warning shot. Wake up now, because once they're done squeezing whatever value they can out of you, they'll disappear fast. And let's clear something up real quick. Samuel L. Jackson has never been on Trump's side. Not now, not ever.
Men, you have amazing role models like our handsome, dashing president. We were not being represented and not being admired for our beauty. If we felt like that as Black women, why would we want to do that to other women? Amen. Why would we now need to make other people downplay their beauty so that we can feel, no, that's not how it works. I don't need someone with blonde hair and blue eyes to downplay their beauty because I know my beauty.
This man has been publicly vocal for years, dragging Trump's behavior, his policies, and his leadership style every chance he got. Samuel doesn't play neutral, and he doesn't soften his language either. That energy showed up loud when Representative Rashida Tlaib went viral for calling Trump an effer and pushing for impeachment. Samuel immediately jumped online to back her up and wrote, "Rashida Tlaib, I just want to wholeheartedly endorse your use of and clarity of purpose when declaring your mother effing goal last week. Calling that mother effer a mother effer is not an issue. Calling that mother effer president is. And he wasn't done yet." Samuel doubled down by adding the hashtag mother effer is too good to waste on that canker sore, making it clear where he stands and who he refuses to respect. Samuel didn't stop there either, because he's been calling out Trump's behavior and policies for years now, and he's never tried to clean it up or sound polite about it.
Black culture is being held captive by influences, songs, and role models. I mean, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B.
Okay, Nicki Minaj is causing dads to leave the home.
Hold on a second. I don't think that's a good role model for 18-year-old Black.
In interviews, Samuel has flat out said Trump's leadership is destructive, reckless, and doing serious damage to the country and the world. In his eyes, this isn't politics anymore. It's common sense. And he's made it clear that staying silent isn't neutral. Samuel has also had smoke for fellow celebrities who refuse to speak up. He said more than once that if you see what's happening and keep your mouth shut, you're part of the problem. To him, silence equals approval, and he doesn't respect it at all. So when more Black celebrities like Snoop Dogg, Nelly, and now Nicki Minaj started showing love to Trump, people wanted to know if Samuel had softened his stance. And when the Daily Beast asked him directly whether his opinion on Trump had changed, Samuel didn't hesitate for a second. He said Trump is still the worst in his eyes, no debate, no hesitation. And when it came to Black celebrities backing Trump, Samuel didn't sugarcoat that either. According to him, those endorsements don't come from belief, they come from fear, money, or wanting access. He straight up said some people will do almost anything if the check is right. Samuel then took it deeper and more personal. He explained that growing up during segregation taught him how to read people fast. He said he always knew who didn't want anything to do with him and who saw him as less than human. And when he looks at Donald Trump, He says he sees the same type of people from his childhood, the ones who wanted to keep him boxed in and quiet. To Samuel, that's exactly what the Republican Party represents. He says they target young people, LGBTQ folks, and anyone who doesn't fit their mold. In his view, it doesn't matter how famous you are or how much money you have. If you're not one of them, you're always going to be treated like the outsider. And that's why Samuel sees Nicki Minaj going full MAGA as especially sad. He spelled it out clearly. The cold truth is this.
Dave, Jelani Mirage showed no emotion as the verdict was read. He was found guilty, as you mentioned, of predatory sexual assault against a child. He's facing 25 years to life in prison. In the moments before the verdict, Jelani Mirage's attorney says Mirage felt confident that he would be acquitted of all charges. But minutes later, Mirage's mother, Carol, walked out of the courtroom alone with only their attorney. Prosecutors say Mirage in 2015 repeatedly had with his then 11-year-old stepdaughter. They say he threatened the girl if she didn't comply.
The second she stops being useful as the token black female conservative, she's getting tossed aside with zero hesitation. They don't care about her loyalty, her legacy, or her fan base. All they want is the visual, the optics. Nicki thinks she's playing chess, making boss moves, but in reality, she's being played like a prop in someone else's game. She's out here thinking she's powerful, when really she's that person in the room everyone jokes about once they think the cameras are off. And that energy was loud at that recent Trump account summit in Washington, D.C. Trump took a slick shot at Nicki's money, and all those white men sitting around her burst out laughing. And let's be clear, they were laughing at her, not rocking with her. The wildest part? Nicki laughed along too, thinking she was part of the joke. Meanwhile, Trump casually compared her wealth to tech billionaires like Michael Dell, basically saying she's rich, just not rich enough. And sure, Nicki makes serious money, but moments like that show exactly how they see her: entertaining, disposable, and easy to clown. Now let's talk about the switch-up energy. Take Charlie Kirk, for example. This is the same guy who used to drag Nicki nonstop. He once said, "Right now, black culture is being held captive by influence songs," which I mean Nicki Minaj, Cardi B. Nicki Minaj is causing dads to leave the home. I don't think that's a good role model for 18-year-old black girls. Fast forward to now, and suddenly Nicki is all buddy-buddy with his wife Erica, smiling for photos, parroting the wildest MAGA talking points like none of that ever happened. The disrespect didn't disappear. It just got convenient to ignore. And here's where it gets extra uncomfortable. Think about this for a second. Has a conservative white woman ever gone out of her way to lecture white girls about not making black girls feel insecure for being black? Exactly. Never happened. But now Nicki is doing the opposite. During her appearance at AmFest with Erica Kirk, Nicki went on a whole rant suggesting that black girls aren't respecting blonde, blue-eyed white girls. She framed white girls as the real victims, saying their looks are being downplayed, that they're not being represented, and somehow being pushed aside. That moment said everything, because the people she's defending would never step up for her the same way. Let's pause for a second and really sit with how wild this sounds. At what point in U.S. history have blonde hair and blue eyes ever been treated like they were overlooked or disrespected? That look has been pushed as the ultimate beauty standard for generations, on TV, in movies, in ads, everywhere. It's been praised, protected, and centered nonstop. So the idea that white girls are suddenly the ones being erased is honestly absurd. Yet here comes Nicki Minaj acting like blonde, blue-eyed women are somehow struggling to be seen or valued. That narrative doesn't match reality at all, and people are confused about why she's even trying to sell it. But embarrassment clearly isn't stopping her, because lately, her public moves have felt like one long cringe marathon. From awkward statements to forced praise, it's been moment after moment of her bending over backward to impress people who don't even respect her. What makes it even messier is that we all remember when Nicki used to be openly anti-Trump. She called him dangerous, dragged his immigration policies, and made it clear she wanted nothing to do with him. That energy was loud back then. Now fast forward to today, and it's a complete personality flip. Not only is she cozy with Donald Trump, she's hyping up everyone in his circle like they're lifelong besties. No hesitation, no shame, just full-on praise. Just recently, Nicki jumped on X to congratulate Trump advisor Alex Bruesewitz on his wedding. She wrote, "Congratulations to my dear friend Alex Bruesewitz and his beautiful wife Carolina on getting married today." My dear friend, though, be serious. Most people had never even heard her mention this man before, and now suddenly he's family. It feels forced, performative, and desperate for approval. And here's the kicker. This is the same Alex Bruesewitz who's been making strange, controversial statements online for years. None of that stopped Nicki from attaching herself to him anyway. And it gets even darker when you look at who she's choosing to stand beside. Take Parowitz, for example. This is the same circle that once hired a comedian who disrespected Puerto Rico by calling it a floating island of garbage. And that moment alone told people everything they needed to know about the mindset in that room. So knowing that, people are asking a real question. Nicki is from Trinidad and Tobago. Does she honestly believe these MAGA figures truly respect her heritage or her background? Behind closed doors, the respect clearly isn't there. And that's exactly what Samuel L. Jackson was talking about when he said Trump reminds him of the same people he grew up around who wanted to keep him in his place. The energy hasn't changed, only the packaging has. But Nicki refuses to acknowledge that reality. Instead, she's out here auditioning for approval from people who wouldn't lose a second of sleep if she disappeared from their circle tomorrow. That's why critics are torn between two theories. Is Nicki just uninformed about how this political machine works, or is she willfully ignoring the obvious hostility toward her? Because let's be honest, this isn't someone who has always been clueless. During Trump's first presidency, Nicki was openly critical of him. As recently as 2020, she publicly spoke against his policies and behavior, making it clear she did not align with his administration. That doesn't sound like someone who doesn't understand what's going on. So something clearly shifted. And that's where speculation starts to heat up. Some believe Nicki may have compromised her values in some way, while others think MAGA could be holding leverage over her personal life. That theory gets even more uncomfortable when people start pointing to her inner circle. Her husband and her brother both have serious criminal histories, including convictions related to sexual offenses. One has been required to remain on an offender registry, while the other received a lengthy prison sentence after being found guilty of a grave crime involving a minor family member. These are court-established facts, not rumors, and they've followed Nicki for years. In one widely reported courtroom moment, her brother showed no visible emotion as the verdict was read, confirming his guilt and sentencing him to 25 years to life in prison. The severity of that case shocked many and continues to raise questions about how it may impact Nicki's public choices today. So when you really look at who Nicki keeps close, who she chose to build a family with, and the circle she moves in, maybe this whole shift isn't as shocking as people want it to be. At this point, it feels like she either genuinely identifies with the MAGA crowd now, or she's chasing relevance wherever she can find it. And let's be honest, she hasn't had a dominant hit shaking the culture in years. Aligning herself with Donald Trump and his inner circle guarantees attention no matter what. Whether people love it or hate it, her name stays in headlines. So some are calling it ignorance, others are calling it pressure, and plenty are saying it's straight desperation. Either way, Nicki made her decision. And for a lot of longtime supporters, that decision feels permanent. Former fans are already saying they don't want to hear apologies later when the political climate changes. One person wrote that they don't want to hear a word if Trump is out of office, and she suddenly tries to flip back and reclaim her audience. Another added that chasing controversy and clout isn't a long-term strategy. Others went even further, saying this marks the real end of her era. They believe once trust is broken at this level, there's no undoing it. For them, the crown already slipped and there's no path back to the throne. So now the big question is why? What actually pushed Nicki Minaj from openly dragging Trump just a few years ago to fully embracing MAGA energy? Do you agree with Samuel L. Jackson, who believes she doesn't even realize those Republicans would discard her the second she stops being useful? Is this about staying visible at all costs? Is it pressure tied to her personal life? Or is this Nicki finally showing people who she's always been behind the scenes? Now it's your turn. Drop your theories in the comments. Let me know what you think is really going on here. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay locked in, because we've got more stories coming that you don't want to miss. See you on the next one.